You're brutal killers. Not nice people at all, but you have to vote for them. You have no choice. You have people that are Jewish people that are great people. They don't love Israel enough. A lot of you are in the real estate business because I know you very well. You're brutal killers. Not nice people at all, but you have to vote for them. You have no choice. You're not going to vote for Pocahontas, I can tell you that. You're not going to vote for the wealth tax. Yeah, let's take 100% of your wealth away. No, no. Even if you don't like me, some of you don't. Some of you I don't like at all, actually. And you're going to be my biggest supporters because you'll be out of business in about 15 minutes if they get it. So I don't have to spend a lot of time on that. I think any Jewish people that vote for a Democrat, I think it shows either a total lack of knowledge or great disloyalty.
U.S. President Donald Trump says he's trying to stop anti-Semitism at colleges and universities around the country. The president is expected to sign an executive order that'll interpret Judaism as a nationality and not just a religion. The order says,
"My administration is committed to combating the rise of anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic incidents in the United States and around the world. Anti-Semitic incidents have increased since 2013, and students, in particular, continue to face anti-Semitic harassment in schools and on university and college campuses."
But even before anything is signed, the order has sparked controversy. Although many see the move as a positive and necessary step, some of the strongest criticism comes from American Jews themselves.
The United States has always been a country of citizenship based on civic citizenship rather than based on national origins. So I think the idea that Jews are being called a nation could be considered by some to imply that they're no longer part of the American nation. I think that's where a lot of people see a more serious threat.
The Department of Education can withhold financial assistance from schools discriminating on race, color, or national origin. By signing the order, Jews would join as a national origin group and be classified as a protected class within the 1964 Civil Rights Act.
So I think the problem with this is that it's unnecessary. Jews are already protected.
The Secretary of Education and the Office for Civil Rights has long said that religion is already included as a protected class. So while some see Trump's move as an explicit and therefore important step to condemn anti-Semitism, others sees it as a political move, Trump catering to a minority of Jews who vote Republican. More broadly, critics say Trump's move is stifling free speech and legitimate opposition towards Israel and its policies, including the anti-Israel BDS boycott movement, which has grown popular on some campuses around the country. Whether the decision will help protect American Jews or backfire is yet to be seen. But once again, it's clear that when it comes to fighting anti-Semitism, the intention, while maybe clear, is a lot harder to implement. Bianca Zanini, I-24 News.
As we gather this afternoon, our thoughts turn to the grieving families in New Jersey. Yesterday, 2 wicked murderers opened fire at a kosher supermarket and killed 4 innocent souls, including a brave police officer who faced down the shooter and very bravely faced the shooter down. With one heart, America weeps for the lives lost. with one voice, we vow to crush the monstrous evil of anti-Semitism whenever and wherever it appears. And we're working very hard on that. And I can tell you that we have a lot of people in government working very, very hard on that. And we appreciate their work. It's not easy.
Nearing the end of my time in Dimona, I began to understand the cultural and social practices of the community, but I was still confused as to what religious box they fitted into, if at all. So Mariel took me to Jerusalem to try and explain the religious practices of the African Hebrew people.
We are Jewish. We are Jewish in the sense that we trace our tribal roots back to Judah. So we are Jewish in that sense, but in terms of being adherents to the principles of Judaism, the religion, that we are not. In our interpretation, in our reading of Hebrew, and Hebrew being the original language of the scriptures, there's no difference between the words that are used for work and worship. So when you talk about the worshiping of the Creator, in Hebrew it's the same word for work. So when it says in 6 days you shall labor, the seventh day, does it say go to mosque, go to synagogue, go to church? No, it says the seventh day you rest. So where do you work? Where do you truly worship the Creator? In the Hebrew thought, this is where you worship the Creator. It's your actions, it's your thoughts. And whatever you are doing during the course of the week, that is your worship. Okay? But never was it to be inside of an edifice or a building. The Creator didn't need us to erect big, huge houses and dedicate them to Him. He just simply needed us to do His works here on this planet.
The way people think about the American Jewish narrative, or just the Jewish narrative in general, is generally a Eurocentric, Ashkenormative lens. You know, Jewish is like Bagel and Lox, Woody Allen, and Barbra Streisand. And it's very highly cognitively dissonant. Jewish stereotypes are Eurocentric. There's this sort of perception that race isn't a Jewish problem because Judaism doesn't concern itself with race. There's also the greater narrative saying that Jews aren't white, yet they don't seem to realize the double standard when somebody like myself walks into a room and it's like, how are you Jewish? Because I don't look white.
One curious question, why the constant need to inject a racial quota into a diverse historical context, which we would acknowledge, but yet on the other hand, as we sit here having watched Operation Moses and the ingathering of Ethiopian Jews into Israel, why then the need to define by race as what is essentially authentic in Judaism strikes us as a contradiction that at least can possibly be interpreted in terms of current political context, but certainly not by history.
All right. I'm glad that you brought that last point. So I work for the last forward or backwards. Isn't it strange that just yesterday that the Jews in America found out that they're black Jews? Isn't it strange also that you don't consider us Jews, because when we go to Israel, you're still demanding that we must, quote unquote, reconvert. Who said we converted in the first place? Who said, what right have European Jews, who don't belong there either, have a right to tell us and to carry us through a shameful...
I'm sorry, European Jews who what?
No,
who don't have a...
any more than we do. Because the Russian Jews come there, many of them not circumcised, many of them never have a bar mitzvah, and we have to go, nobody asked them to reconvert. We had to go there, and a farce called circumcision, and they, you know, I wanted to use a Hebrew word, but at the moment. And we're supposed to go through all that. Next thing, Rabbi, how come my uncle, Tamarat Emanuel, came here in 1935 to raise money when Italy invaded Ethiopia? We were 5 million. When we left, we were 50,000. The Jewish community in America refused, denied that we existed. Up to now in Israel, you have 2 Grand Rabbis at least, the Sephardic Grand Rabbi and the Ashkenazi Grand Rabbi, the European Grand Rabbi, that refused to recognize that we're even Jews. Only the Sephardic Grand Rabbi started with Obadiah Yosef when he was the chief rabbi. Now let's go back. So that it's a farce about Israel telling us to come there for whatever the reason. In that, Israel to this day, from 1947, have in the Knesset a petition for the acceptance of Jews from Ethiopia, the right to return. To this day, it has not been approved It is still being tabled every year now. So that you try to show the liberality of white American Jews when it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist at all. Because if you're saying that you're bringing us back, then we should go back as Jews, not as something that you're going to make us over there. Who gives you the authority to say who is a Jew and who isn't a Jew? You talk about my desire for the political aristocracy, my political sense. Well, it was obvious that no one questioned the European Jews. Am I to believe that European Jews don't have a white politics here? When blacks move into a Jewish neighborhood, white Jewish neighborhood, doesn't the white Jew move like the white Christian? I mean, doesn't the white Jew have white flight to the suburb? Now, so as a Jew, are you saying that I should behave as a Jew, period, in the United States, that means white Jew, in the United States, and run from the blacks? And when I come here, my acceptance in Judaism isn't the same as when you come. When you come, if you came as a white Jew, and the white Jews, and you deal with whites. Now, I'm a black Jew, isolated from Judaism by virtue of that, because of my blackness. When I go into a synagogue, most synagogue I go into, the first thing they tell me, and I say I'm Jew, when you become Jew, did your parents convert? When? You don't ask a white person walk into the synagogue and say that.
I wouldn't want to deny for a moment that Egypt was part of the cultural mix, and therefore Africa, as you would want to make the political point. But to selectively ignore all other historical factors to then be able to make a political point is not to be dismissed as a cry of anti-Semitism when it's raised, but is to be called for inaccuracy in the historical record. And one has an absolute right to do that when that inaccuracy then feeds into contemporary politics. But if I would but if I could...
You try to throw over that anti-Semitism slip in right there. Mm-hmm. Even when a Jew disagrees with a Jew, it becomes anti-Semitic. By the way, I hope that what you fail to understand, Rabbi, is that European Jews are Europeans and think as Europeans and act as Europeans. African Jews, on the other hand, are being asked not to act as Africans and an African Jewish scholar. You see, you want me to go along with a dialogue that suits you as a European Jew, but doesn't suit me as an African Jew. And you assume that my African Jewishness should supersede my Africanness. No way, Rabbi, because you want it both ways. You want to be a European Jew, benefiting from being a European, benefiting from being a Jew, and that I sat by and listened to it, and then call it anti-Semitic.
You may have difficulty.
When the set apart Ruach is given, the true worshipers begin to praise Yah. They that worship him must worship him in Ruach spirit and in truth. Not truth only, but in spirit also.